The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everyone, this is Pranjali extending a warm welcome to all of you. I'm the Marketing Manager at Upside Learning and your host for the webinar today. Thank you for taking the time to attend our webinar, E-Learning on Tablets, What, Why and How. Before we get started, a couple of housekeeping things. You'll be receiving the recording of the webinar along with the slide deck after the webinar via an email. We have some polls lined up for you during the course of the webinar, so do participate. We also have a brief survey at the end to help us improve your webinar experience in the future. And last but not the least, feel free to ask any questions to our experts using the chat facility. In case we are unable to answer any of your questions, we'll try to answer them in our blog. Now for some quick introduction about Upside Learning. For over 9 years, we have been helping 165 organizations of different sizes and types to improve performance through better learning. With our HO in India, we serve clients based in the UK, the US, Australia, Middle East, North Africa, and other countries. Our wide range of innovative learning solutions includes Upside to Go, our mobile learning platform for performance support, Upside LMS, our multi-award-winning learning management system, and custom learning solutions for desktops, tablets, and smartphones. We have been recognized and awarded by Brandon Hall, TrainingIndustry.com, Deloitte, CLO, Apex, time and again, and have won over 30 awards and recognitions till date. It's my pleasure to introduce you to the speakers, Amit Garg, Director and Co-founder Upside Learning, and Alan Samuel, Director, Client Solutions, Europe, Upside Learning. Amit and Alan, over to you.
Thanks, Pranjali.
Thanks, Pranjali.
And welcome, everyone. Welcome to this webinar on e-learning on tablets, what, why, how. My name is Amit Garg. As Pranjali said, I'm the Director and Co-founder at Upside Learning. I look after the bespoke e-learning solutions at Upside Learning. I've been in the e-learning domain for slightly over 13 years now, and I've seen the movement of e-learning from traditional systems and more recently moving on to the mobile devices. Very excited to be here. Look forward to speaking with you. Alan?
Yeah, hi. As Pranjali said, I'm based here in London, and like Amit, have been in the business now for a little over 12 years. So have seen a lot of the change, and I think we're on the cusp of something new and more exciting, which is obviously the whole tablet and mobile area. So I'm hoping we'll get a lot of questions. I will try and keep up with your questions, but if I don't, pester me, and I'll try and get back to you, or else certainly we will put it up on our blog after this. Back to you, Amit.
Perfect. I hope we are both audible. Just in case if you guys are facing any difficulty in that, let us know and we'll sort it out, if at all there is any. Are we audible? Alan, just if you're monitoring the chat and if you see any difficulty, that's on that.
Yeah,
right.
okay.
So, brilliant. Let's get started then. We have a couple of poll questions for you to begin with. The first one being, does your company plan to use tablets? Some of you may already be using, or you have some kind of a time frame in mind, next 3 months, 6 months. You definitely know that it will be done, but not sure when, or there are no plans at all. The poll has been put up. If you could take 5 odd seconds to just Okay, if we can close the survey and have the results. Brilliant. So we have about 40% of us using tablets. The 17% planning to use it the next 6 months. The rest, amongst the rest, 32% are really sure that they will be using it, but don't know when. And there are no plans for 11%. Okay, okay. Fairly consistent with what we have been observing in the market. 40% are already using it. Fantastic. We'll move on to the next one. The second poll that we have for today, in organizational learning context, what will you use tablets for? Sales support, performance support, compliance and mandatory training, or not sure where and how it can be used. If you launch that, yes. Let's take another 5 seconds. Okay, so here are the results. Most of us feel we'll possibly be using it for compliance and mandatory training, 42%, and then for performance support and sales support. Brilliant. I think this is very consistent with the way we have been finding organizations really trying to implement tablets in the enterprise and also deliver some sort of learning or performance support on the tablets. Alan, any quick thoughts on these?
Yes, I think again we are following a bit of a cycle in terms of where we started with e-learning, and we're starting with the relatively obvious areas of compliance and mandatory training. But what's interesting is actually to look at the performance and sales support numbers, which again we've been talking about and we've been hearing about and being asked questions on, as to these seem to be the most or the areas organizations are targeting the most. So it'll be interesting to see how this actually develops.
Perfect. All right, let's move forward. Okay, so let's begin with understanding what a tablet really is. It seems like a very simple question, and I'm sure most of us do know what a tablet is, just that we believe it is changing and evolving, so we thought we'll just cover it over here. I think this is the kind of device that we already associate with a tablet, and the first device really to come in that space to literally create the space and define the space. Everything has really been benchmarked against the iPad in some sense or the other. It has pretty much had a solo run in the market till very recently. Only in the last few quarters maybe it has been challenged by the smaller 7-inch kind of devices from the Android stable, and which has actually forced even Apple to launch its own smaller tablet, the iPad mini. But the way the market is evolving, it is not just these two sizes or the kind of form factors that we will see in the space. We're already beginning to see the convertibles or the detachables, where a laptop can be either folded to become a tablet, or you can slide the screen to make it a tablet, or just completely take it off as a tablet. Windows obviously has most of those forms available as of now, but very soon we'll possibly see even Apple coming out with a detachable or foldable tablet. I mean, more so with the latest version of the iOS that was released. There is indications that they are trying to merge the Mac and the iOS platforms. There's another form factor that we would soon see, maybe in the enterprise as well, but more so in the homes, where a larger screen, all-in-one desktops or PCs would come in, where you can use them as a large PC, a desktop PC, but also detach the screen to work on it as a tablet. Incidentally, this one works on two separate OSs. So when you use it as a PC, it is a Windows 8 platform. When you detach and use it as a tablet, it's a Android platform. So very interesting, evolution that we are seeing. The form factor, multiple OSs, etc., and which makes it even more interesting on how the space is going to evolve and play out. But very important to understand that tablets may not just remain the central two images that are there, the Android 7 inches and the iPad mini. It would be more than that. The quick look at the forecast that that's been made for tablets, screen-wise. The sub 8-inch category was created very recently. Until then, it was only the 9 odd inches that was ruling the market. But then very quickly, there has been a change in the market, the proportion of the market, and I think that's going to continue. We will see more of sub 8 inches selling in the market. Of course, the price point is lower and brings in a different category of customers. At the same time, it is easier to carry. You can put it in a coat, jacket, pocket. So many different ways to look at it. But yes, the smaller size will dominate in terms of sales. Of course, there is room for the larger size, 11 inches plus as well, but they would be more multi-user tablets, maybe at home for playing, two people having multiplayer games, etc. So you may have that, but it may not be a major player in the market. Also, to understand what is a tablet, it would be pertinent to just place it and compare it in between a laptop and a smartphone. Let's see how it fares on various factors parameters that we've listed here. On portability, we believe it is much more portable than a laptop, of course, especially if you consider smaller tablets, because they can go into your jacket pockets, as I said. Then they might be actually as portable as a smartphone, but if you see the larger tablets, then they may not be as portable as a smartphone, but definitely still more portable than the laptops. In terms of functionality, here we are talking about the capability of a device to do higher level tasks or more involved or complex applications can be used on that. So, more of a workhorse, if you have to call it. So, with the newer kind of tablets that are evolving, especially the detachables and the others that are coming in, tablets would be very close to laptops. But in general, they would be somewhere at this level, closer to laptops, but much better than the smartphones in terms of higher capacity tasks, workhorses. In terms of flexibility and features, the various affordances that a tablet may have, a camera, accelerometer, etc., and the various sensors that come into mobile devices these days. Tablets are exactly the same as smartphones. They pretty much have all of those features available. It's just that sometimes we don't wish to use them. If you had, both the smartphones and tablets available with you, and you got out of a, tube station and wanted to see directions, which direction you have to go to, you would probably pull out a smartphone if you had a choice between a tablet and a smartphone. It's just a place and context in which you would use a particular device. So tablets, while they are having all the features and flexibility, if you had a choice, you would possibly use a smartphone. But in terms of capability on that front, they are as good as smartphones. In terms of availability, I think that's it's kind of an overlapping point with portability, where while they are always on devices, again, if you're able to carry them, they are available. At the same time, smartphones really score on this point because you really carry them with you everywhere, even to the loo. They are right by the side of your bed. It's just there with you. You don't have to think twice about carrying a smartphone. While for a tablet, you may just, especially for the larger size one, the 9+ inches. The 7 inches you may just carry with you almost always, like the smartphone. But depends on your preferences. In connectivity, I think they would be as good as a smartphone, just that sometimes you end up buying only Wi-Fi versions, so they don't have 3G connectivity. So they might be just slightly lower on connectivity as compared to the smartphones. So in a way, this is where the tablets really fit in. Now what's very important to take away from here is we believe tablets are unique in the way that they are merging the PC technology with mobile technology. And that's quite important and very interesting combination, because it just lets you do a lot of work on the move. So I think they become extremely important from that perspective. They're uniquely placed between the laptops and smartphones, combining some fantastic capabilities of both sets of devices. With this, we come to the third poll. We have 4 in all, and we'll just exhaust them right now. The third and the fourth will come one after the other. So if we could launch the third poll. Here it is. What do you use your tablet for? Emails, entertainment, media consumption, work-related usage, shopping, or social connections and media? If it would take a few more seconds to queries, and here are the results. Very interesting, extremely interesting. 83% use it for work-related usage. Brilliant. Email 65, entertainment 63, followed by social media 59, and shopping 33%. This is very interesting. I'm really surprised to see this, especially the work-related usage. And we have some data points on that, so we'll cover that. But this is very interesting. Can we move on to the next one? The last poll for our webinar today is, given a choice, would you use a tablet or a smartphone? We'll just launch the poll. And this will be interesting to see as well, because we haven't placed anything else. If we could take just a couple of more seconds and close the poll. Okay, here are the results. So if you had a choice, and interestingly, we didn't tell you for what, but if you had a choice, you just were carrying these 2 devices together with you, you would reach out to the tablet first, then to the smartphone. Yeah. This is, I think both of these have been very interesting. The first one was really kind of an eye-opening. 80+% people already using it for workplace. And this one is also interesting, that you would reach out to the tablet more often than to the smartphone if you had a choice. Brilliant. Alan, any quick thoughts on that?
Yes, like you, I was pleasantly surprised, and we're kind of happy also that we've been proved right, because we've been saying this is certainly in the workplace already. So I think to see 83% is great. And similarly, the tablet is being the device of choice, despite the omnipresent smartphone, is I think a great sign for what's going to come, and how learning will change, or how these devices will change our perception and the way we use them. But yeah, no, I think very, very interesting.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, let's move on from here. So this is obviously, our quick polls were to lead us to this research from Google, which I'm sure some of you would have seen earlier. This is not a new report. It just sets the context for something that we have to say after this. They had released, Google, had released this report on multi-device world in, I think, late 2012. And I found this was the critical slide there, which says context drives the device choice. And of course, the choices amongst the devices was, as you can see on the left side of the picture, somewhere in between is a smartphone, a tablet, and a laptop. And the context is made up of the time you have on hand or need, the goal you wish to accomplish, the location you are in, and your attitude. And all of these together make that context for you. So you might be having 5 minutes in the morning and in the evening. You may want to accomplish almost similar things, and you may be on a train. So your morning journey towards office and your evening journey back home, but your attitude might be very different. Just think of it. You might be tired. You don't want to really do the same things that you want to do in the morning. So context is really the kind of the thing that would define which device you are actually reaching out to. It's very interesting that most of you felt that you would be reaching out to a tablet, which is an indication that most of your tasks that you were already doing on a smartphone might have already been transferred to the tablet to some extent. From the same report, the Google's multi-screen report, tablets have been classified as something that keep us entertained, and which is where we have started to have a little bit of difference of thinking on where the tablets are fitting in, because we do believe that they are getting into the enterprise and are being used for serious work as well. Sometimes, obviously, the beginning point is just checking emails and maybe surfing the web to find out things, etc. But as the enterprise itself gets into mobility movement and makes more of their business applications compatible with tablets and mobile devices, more and more work is also getting shifted to these devices. So while this report of 2012, which possibly was dependent on data points which were even earlier, say mid-2012, tries to place tablets as devices that keep us entertained, I think that is changing. But still, what is important over here, if you can see that within the tablet graphic that's there, it says the third point, which is unbounded sense of time, which is still very important, and we'll try and link that up with something else that we found in another research. If you see this, which is from Adobe, they have tried to compare, and this is slightly more recent, 2013, early 2013 though. How do people use tablets versus smartphones? And this is the one that really stands out, and it is missing on the smartphone side, reading books. And this links very well to what we just saw on the previous slide, the unbounded sense of time, because that is not there when you're on the smartphone. So if you have slightly lengthier thing to be done, you would probably not choose the smartphone. You would go to the tablet. A lengthier book to read, maybe even the news items. If you see, there's 50% on tablets and 37% on smartphones. So anything which involves more time, you probably go to the tablets. And which brings me to this next one, which is from Nielsen, and which says, if you notice these two which I just highlighted, the purchasing of digital and physical items on a device, which of course is a more involved thing than just getting information. You do it much more on the tablets than you do it on smartphones. In comparison, the first item on the top of this list, which is using store location or locator to find store, you do it much more on the smartphone than on the tablet. Just placing the various kinds of activities that you would want to do on a smartphone versus on a tablet. So you would want to do slightly lengthier, more complex, more research oriented, maybe you want to compare things one against other. You need more screen area, and you tend to use tablets more. When you need just small bits of information, you possibly reach out to the smartphone more. So that leads us to what is really e-learning on tablets. We just kind of understood what a tablet is, and where did it get placed, and how do we use them, etc. But what is e-learning on tablets? We would want to define it as any learning or performance support that's provided or accessed via tablets. Let me just add a few things to this. Learning is something that we commonly say just in case learning, something that's been given you much in advance of its requirement. Though I would not really 100% agree with the phrase just in case for all learning, but most of it is like that. Some of it is good fundamentals on which the just-in-time learning is built on. So just-in-time is more performance support, just when you need it. You use it, consume it, do your job, and get on with it. Provided is more push, and accessed is more pull. But all of these is really the combination, or any combination of these would really form what you would say as e-learning on tablets. Let's give you some examples to just define this in a more crystal manner. The easiest form of e-learning on tablets would be any e-learning that you have been doing on desktops, making it available on tablets. And I say easiest from the technical perspective. Of course, you need to validate the real reasons why you want to really achieve this. But if you have been doing any e-learning on tablet, on desktops, and you want to push it on tablets, the screen area is quite reasonable in terms of what you see on the tablets. Even the 7-inch ones, because the 7-inch ones are really the devices which have the same user agent as the 9-inch ones. So you are supposed to see the full website even on a 7-inch tablet. So what you see on a desktop is exactly what you should be seeing on a 7-inch tablet by design, the way they have been designed, and how the websites are being shown on those tablets. So essentially, that's the kind of form that the tablets present. Hence, this would be one of the easiest things to do for e-learning on tablets. The other way would be to look at some sort of e-learning that you design which goes on to different devices, which is where multi-device or responsive e-learning comes into picture. Now, this is an example of a website, but e-learning could also be structured in similar way. If you can see, you have on the desktop version there are 4 blocks of content in one row. On the phone version there are just 2. Maybe on the tablet there would be just 3, etc. Or you may have 4 on the bigger one and 2 on the smaller one. But essentially, e-learning that reshapes itself, not just in look and feel, but also in terms of the content that was presented to the device on which you are using. Now, just link it back to the choice of devices that we make is dependent on the context, and the context is made of 3 or 4 items that we just talked about. It is important that when we look at anything like this, which is responsive e-learning design, we ensure that we are responsibly ensuring that the e-learning that we are providing on the larger and the smaller devices is appropriate for the context in which it would be accessed on those devices. So that's probably the area which one needs to be careful about. But responsive multi-device e-learning is something that you will see in large numbers as we go along. Another option is native app-based. Now this is an application that was made for the Toyota Yaris launch in the UK last year. People could explore the car in more detail by clicking on the plus icons. It would play videos as well, and it would also give you flexibility to compare different competitive brands with a similar range and highlight things, etc. So essentially, it's a more engaging experience, a more rich media experience, and a lot of data that you want to pack, and also give functionality like at the center top of the screen you see a wheel where you can actually, which is the menu of the whole application. So things like this, when you do it on a native app-based, they give you the best results in terms of the experience that you want to do. And this is customer education, very easily combined into, it could be plugged into the e-learning bracket. Similar examples could be for medical professionals who can carry some of this stuff, similar stuff on their tablets and show it to doctors when they go around. Similarly, sales staff can carry information about their products and show it to clients. Use it for their own information and learning as well as for educating customers and selling stuff. And the last type of e-learning on tablets that we want to highlight is embedded learning in the workflow itself. One application that we've been very fond of is Emirates Airlines KIS application, which is essentially a full workflow module or a business application which is available on tablets now. It allows the airline crew to do various tasks, like in the screenshot they have shown the reward points, etc. that are there, which can be used to upgrade a customer in flight if there is a vacancy over there. They can also note down customer requests, etc. against their own privilege numbers. And they can also add comments from their side, which is not shown in any of these screens here. But they can add comments about what's happening in the flight, something that they did not find, that they were not able to do, or they can look for some information while they are having a relaxed time in the back of the flight. Essentially, this is an application which is a business application with some social and real-time learning components put in. And we see a lot of learning will be moving into this direction. That if you could just reflect back on the type of devices that we are talking about will become default in our enterprises, which is detachables and convertibles, you will possibly start seeing more and more of embedded learning in the workflow. And here is some example from NHS. They have been using this they called computer on wheels for some time, where, as you can see, it's literally a computer on wheels. There's a CPU which has been kept at the bottom. There's a keyboard, there's a mouse, there's a monitor. So nothing really unique, just that there's this device which is available and the desk can be moved around a bit. But of course it has its own issues, and they were not able to do certain amount of things, and they are now planning to, or they are moving to something like this, where essentially everything else remains the same. The docking unit is slightly mobile because it would have its own power connections, etc. But what is really mobile is the display, which is a tablet. You can take it around if you wanted to possibly show it to the patient as well, or do certain other things. You can possibly do it and then keep it back in the docking unit. So these are just some examples to give you an idea of what kind of e-learning on tablets we're talking about. I'll quickly recap what we have covered so far, which is what's a tablet, anything right from less than 8 inches to more than 10 inches devices that we have seen. So the form factor is evolving. Also, another aspect in which it is evolving is convertibles and detachables are coming into place. And they are unique because tablets merge PC tech with mobile tech, and which is going to be hugely advantageous in enterprises. And of course, we saw that the way we approach tablet, it is used with a more relaxed sense of time. And then we covered what's e-learning on tablets. We defined it as e-learning / performance support in a push or a pull mode, either of those. So any combination of this would be easily called e-learning on tablets. Easiest, of course, is existing e-learning. You can go for responsive e-learning. You can have uniquely tablet-focused e-learning solutions, or you can have embedded in workflow. Alan, at this stage, I'd like to invite your thoughts on what you are seeing in the markets on these lines. What are the clients saying? Anything interesting that you would like to add?
Yes, I think again more and more we're being asked about tablets and tablet learning, and like we said earlier, it's heartening to know there's so much out there already. But some of the conversations I've been having have been around what should we put on it, what will we use it for, and there's this confusion, if you want to call it that, of do we just put our e-learning there? Does it need to be designed differently? Does it need to be, can we not just make e-learning available? And I think there is a case for, yes, making existing e-learning available, but I think we should also consider the power of the device itself. And if you go back to the research on context and the context of usage, it's critical that we actually provide learning or resources or information at the point where there is a context of need. So I think there is a little confusion, there is a little bit of hesitation as to what should we put on it. And I think the answer really is we need to be very clear before we move on to the tablet, because otherwise the entire experience could potentially go against the entire capability of the device and the success of how well we use it. So yeah, I think there are questions, there are certainly answers out there, but I think we need to think very carefully about what we're going to put out there.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, and I agree. My conversations as well, I find the clarity is definitely not there. But yes, it's early days. And I think next 12 to 18 months we'll see a lot of movement in this domain. Okay, let's move on to the next part of our presentation, which is why. So why should you be really looking at e-learning on tablets? Let me start with this slightly loud statement. M-learning is the future of workplace learning. We truly believe that M-learning is the future of workplace learning, and we have been kind of talking about it for some time. And if you have attended any of our previous webinars, you've been following us on the blog, you would have seen, we've come across some of this stuff already. But just to quickly cover it through an infographic that we released a few months ago, and that's available on this URL that's mentioned there. I'll just quickly cover the key points in this before we move on. We are living in a mobile world, a world where very soon we'll have more mobile phones than the people on the planet, something that has never happened with any technology whatsoever. Not cars, not bicycles, not even toothbrushes. So it is that kind of a powerful technology that we are talking about, which is mobile. So there is no way that we can really imagine learning and workplace learning not moving on to mobile. So that's just one aspect of the mobile world. The second is shift in computing. We are seeing the post-PC era. It is beginning to unfold on us. Then there is trend which is going on to mobile first, which is designing websites for the mobile first, because more people are going to use it on the mobile phones than on traditional PCs and desktops, etc. So there are all of these factors in the mobile world. Then the work itself and the workplace also is changing. The amount of information that we need to hold in our heads has come down dramatically from 80-odd% to about 8-odd%. The information that we need to hold in our heads to get our work done. So this is based on research done by Professor Keller in Carnegie Mellon University. And that's significant because then we are really looking for information when we need it rather than holding it in our hands. Also, we are seeing a huge proportion of the workforce being mobile workforce. Some of them are completely mobile, sales guys, field staff, senior executives. Some of them are partly mobile, working from home, part-time, freelancing, traveling 1 or 2 days a week, etc. And we are also seeing the new generation of workforce coming into the mix, where they have very different expectations from the workplace and the way information is generated, handled, treated, etc. They are not mute spectators to new information. They are co-creators. They want feedback. They want to share things. They want approvals, etc. They want to co-create everything. So it's the generation which is coming in the workforce. I think together they present a great opportunity to achieve what was not possible earlier. You were doing most of the workplace learning for the first 3 instances of, or the first 2 instances of Gottfredson's 5 moments of learning need. Now you can also do something for the last 3 because of mobile devices being available. And it helps in carrying forward social and informal learning and really helping create an environment where employees and staff can learn continuously, almost on a daily basis from their peers, from their social networks. I mean, of course, this is slightly more detailed, and you may want to spend time on this infographic. There's also a webinar that we had on a similar topic, literally saying no escaping mobile learning, because we believe that's the case. You may want to just see that as well if you have time. The URL is there. Of course, the recording of this webinar will be available, so if you don't catch the URL, don't worry. Okay, so quickly, moving on from there, if mobile is the future of workplace learning, why are we talking about tablets? The reason why we think tablets are very important, especially at this stage, are, I think, 4 of them. Let's start with them. Number 1, tablets are the fastest growing mobile device category. Now, whether we agree or not, tablets are invariably clubbed with mobile devices. Of course, they are more mobile than laptops, but laptops were never called mobile devices. But yes, tablets are clubbed in that category, but within that category, they are the subcategory which is the fastest growing. In fact, fastest growing when you compare any mobile device, e-readers, netbooks, MP3 players. So there is something that the tablets are presenting to the market which is significantly better, or something that people were looking for, and it's now being presented. So that's number 1 reason. And of course, an extension of that is that they will be overtaking the PC shipments very soon, hopefully in 2014 itself, because this trend itself will be preponed a bit because of the smaller size devices that are coming in and the prices dropping sharply. They are literally a game changer. The image here is only to emphasize the point that anybody can really use tablets. It's a natural device. You don't need operating instructions to work with a tablet. All the natural gestures of touch, pinch, squeeze, expand, everything works directly. You don't have to learn computers to operate tablets, and which is where I think it's very, very interesting. It opens up avenues right from children and young adults to even aged people who have never used tablets in their lives, and they are in the workforce, and you may want to deliver some sort of training to them. And of course, there are new forms that are emerging, and in that way, they are changing the computing landscape completely. The third reason, they are already in the workplace, and this is where it links back to the survey that you just, or the poll you participated in. If you see here, the last 2 columns, this is from Computing Magazine in the UK. This was done earlier this year, I believe. The last 2 data points in light blue, 15% plus 21%, are essentially a combination. That's 31% people saying that they use their tablets or smartphones, tablets, more for work-related activities than for other things. So it is already being used by a large population. 83% actually use them. which is also probably consistent with what we are seeing here. Some use it for less, but some use it for very high amounts. More than 50% of their use of tablets is for work-related activities. It's significant. And our final reason why we should be looking at tablets or e-learning on tablets is because it's the bridge between e-learning that you have been doing so far and the real M-learning, which holds immense potential for the enterprise in terms of productivity improvement, in terms of everything. But as we all know, if you have been following or trying to get into the M-learning field and trying to implement something that you're in, it's not been an easy domain. It's not seen the kind of adoption levels that everybody has been hoping for and very bullish on. Though eventually they know that that is the way to go, but tablets provide a good intermediate point to try out things, to start small, to start with a familiar category, to start with things that you already have, lesser investment, lesser number of barriers, less people to convince, and that gets the ball moving. So we see this to be the most important reason why we believe e-learning on tablets should be considered. A quick recap of why e-learning on tablets. Of course, mobile is the future of workplace learning, fastest growing mobile device category. I'm just hurrying up a bit, being conscious of the fact that we have just 15 minutes left for this webinar. Fastest growing mobile device, it's a game changer, and they're already in the workplace. And most importantly, they are the bridge to real M-learning, which holds just amazing promise for all the enterprise. Alan, do you want to quickly jump in and share your thoughts before I move on to the last section?
Yeah, I think again, just to reinforce the argument for tablets and the way we use it, certainly more and more there is more and more interest in moving it into performance support areas where we are able to access and make better decisions because of the availability of information. I think we're also looking at a movement of the provision of resource. It could be documents, it could be PDFs, not necessarily e-learning, but certainly providing that kind of support to our people out there in the field, and primarily again it's field, though my desktop or my dipstick research, which is carried out on the train every day in and out of London and anywhere else I'm traveling to, is to look at and see what people are using their tablets for. And there's a myriad of usage, but what is great to see is that a lot of people are using it for work. So yeah, no, I think we're certainly, like I said earlier, headed in the right direction. I think there's just a little more clarity of when and where and how to use it, which ends the webinar.
Perfect. Yep. Ties it all together. All right. So that's the last part of our webinar, which is how to do e-learning on tablets, and share some thoughts on that. I think the first thing that you need to get is your objectives. You need to get your objectives right. I'm sure you know it already. Just that we have seen some enterprises approaching tablets just because everyone else is doing it, just because it's the new shiny device available in the enterprise. Let's put some e-learning on the tablets. It's not uncommon to hear sometimes clients come up and say, oh, we want to push all our library of e-learning that we have onto tablets. Good for us as a vendor, but definitely not always worthwhile to do. We would suggest you evaluate your objectives and have the right ones in place to do e-learning on tablets. Some of the more logically correct reasons that we have found and worked with our clients on are making e-learning accessible to mobile workforce. That's hugely important, especially for the workforce that's traveling and never in office, especially when you want to do compliance training. It's those kind of things, and you really want them to get onto that e-learning and finish it. Otherwise, they'll continue to have excuses. Providing information and material for just-in-time lookup for field staff, which is essentially referring to letting them hold, let's say, PDFs and manuals and videos and other things onto their devices and then use it whenever they need it. So like the Toyota Yaris app that we talked of, maybe an app that is holding all the information, or an app that talks to the servers and helps them download stuff onto their devices, etc. But essentially lets them use it when they need it. It's all available with them. Also, you could think of letting employees learn during downtime. Now, the downtime is something that employees will have to define. It's very interesting that the report that we talked of, the Google multi-screen report, it says very clearly somewhere in that report is that TV is not able to retain our 100% attention now. So even when you are at home, while watching TV, we are all multitasking. We are either on social media or even discussing the TV shows itself, if there is a social channel built around that, or just finding to do something else during the breaks, and if we are not finding it interesting but there's a common program going on. So there is an opportunity where if people have that motivation, they would find time to access information that's made available whenever they have downtime. And of course, it is dependent on their motivation. And if you do believe in the theory X of how people work and learn, I'm sure you would subscribe to that they would access some of that information when they have time. And there could be many other reasons that you want to. It is just 2 or 3 reasons that we thought suitable to put up here. But there could be many other reasons to really put eLearning on tablets. We have some sort of a suggested path. I mean, we've talked about all of these, but we've just seen that this is a good way to get started and move on to the more important and more path-breaking eLearning on tablets. Start with enabling some of your existing e-learning. We find this to be the path of least resistance, if I can say, for your colleagues, for your management, lesser barriers, lesser cost. It's just so much easier to get started. Of course, your reasons have to be correct, but in this case, if you just want to get started, a good reason could be to try it out. Maybe just do it for one program. Look at multi-device and responsive e-learning after that, where you are then trying to really address some of your concern areas, pain areas, and extending your existing programs or maybe classroom training programs onto multiple devices to suit the different contexts in which they would be accessing that learning or performance support material. Along with this, or after that, you could look at uniquely tablet-focused activities which also utilize the various affordances that these devices have, like the camera and the other sensors that they have, because that could be extremely useful, like augmented reality applications. I mean, there are various augmented reality applications that are floating around. You can see videos of those on YouTube, which just help you get the work done by you superimposing instructions on the viewfinder of the camera of the tablet. So whatever you're seeing on the tablet, there are instructions that are coming on top of it. It just is a great way to help people perform their tasks, especially for people or for tasks which you can't really train them on because it's a very, something that maybe they will not understand, maybe they don't have the qualifications right now, or maybe it's too complex. But instructions, step-by-step instructions just make it so simple. I mean, all of us have experienced this, going to YouTube, doing a certain thing step by step, and then completely forgetting it after that because you don't use it every day. And the last thing, and which probably is or should be the aim, is to embed learning in work itself. It may not come easy, but yes, it is the most rewarding one. If we can do that, then there is no separate learning time that you have to get for people. People will learn when they are doing their work, and the work will definitely be much better. But yes, it's slightly longer shot, but I think these devices are taking us there, making it possible for us to reach there. We're just kind of running out of time. Sorry about it. I'll rush through this. Some very quick design thoughts when you are doing any e-learning on tablets. and it would apply. Most of this will apply to some of the other types of e-learning development as well. But relevance, of course, even when you do an instructor-led training program, relevance is paramount. You can't really talk of things that are not relevant to your audience. But here it could also mean the context, the time that they have available. Sometimes you may actually read a book for slightly longer, but may not actually do e-learning for that long. So relevance would be chunking it into appropriate size, making it available. Let them choose if they can which section they want to go to, etc. So that design part should be kept in mind. Consistency, especially true when you are looking at making it available on multiple devices. So if the same training is going to be available on desktops as well as tablets, or desktops, tablets as well as mobile phones, you just need to make sure it is consistent across those platforms. You need to plan for offline usage. These devices by nature are prone to get into non-connected zones, so you should plan for offline usage if that is the kind of information or learning that you're trying to provide. And of course, utilize as much as you can the tablet affordances, the sensors that are there, which will make the experience even better for your audience. And look at tracking, which is, if you are doing compliance training especially, you would want to keep that record in your system, because that's really one of the key purposes of doing all of the compliance training. So you need to plan for that beforehand, because implementing SCORM-based solutions for tablets is not as straightforward, because it has this assumption of network getting lost, or connectivity getting lost in between. Some simpler design thoughts. Touch, of course, when you're getting to tablets, you need to plan for touch. Please do plan for fatter fingers. 44 by 44 pixels is the minimum that you should be looking at for any touch area on the screen. Plan for virtual keyboard, which pops over the content area, so it might hide some vital information when you want your learners to input some information. So it should not just overlap and make it difficult for them. There are no rollover states on tablets, so you have to plan for single touch and double touch to do the rollovers and click actions. You can utilize the thumb reach option, like I think the iPad mini allows you to just divide the keyboard into two, so that you can hold it in portrait mode and type with your thumbs, so you don't have to really hold it in one hand, you can just do it quickly. Your e-learning could be similar, but if you want to do it in portrait mode. If you're doing it only in landscape mode, which is absolutely fine, you can always lock that and not let it appear in portrait mode. But if you do wish to get in portrait mode, make it consistent and not make it look awkward by having a black band coming at the bottom of the portrait mode, which normally happens when the site has not been optimized. And of course, you need to optimize all the media, so your learners don't see this thing too long, too often. Sorry for rushing through this. We just completed all we had to. I'll quickly just recap the last section, which is how to do e-learning on tablets. Get your objectives right. Start with the enablement. Move to tablet specific. Target embedding learning in the workflow. That's obviously, in our view, is the ultimate goal that you can have. We're really not left with time, but yes, we'll extend this by another 10 minutes, and if you can spend the time, we'll be happy to answer any questions. Meanwhile, Alan, if you have anything to add.
Not really. I've just answering some of the questions where we've been asked more about do we advocate a separate design approach for tablet and PC and things like that. So yeah, I think what you've just covered in terms of taking into account the way you interact with the tablet, take into account the fat fingers, which is a very personal issue, I must say. I struggle, but if there's anybody out there like me, buy a stylus, it works. But yeah, no, I think we just need to be aware of the capability of the device and what's the best way of using it.
All right. Okay. Any questions that you may want to just type into the chat box and if you can pick up. As of course, we have given our email IDs as well. If you wish to just shoot any questions to us, we would, in any case, be covering all of the questions into a blog post. So if you just want to shoot any questions to our email IDs, that would be good as well. All right. Okay. So if we could then close this, and thank you all for joining us today. We look forward to having or being in touch with you again in the future sometime. Bye.
Bye. Thanks everyone.